Welcome to Women of the World Talk and Act series, also powered by Moving Cultures Global. It's a great pleasure and it's a great honor to have three amazing, compassionate, and powerful women from the music therapy world. The three of them are coming from the United States, and I have to acknowledge and also let you all know that our mentor is here with us, and she is Karen Watts, the person who has made possible this connection that has been going for a long time already. You know, not for 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, has been going along for a while. And it's so great to see their faces today in Zoom and to see all our friends celebrating with us. So we're not going to take more time because today what we want is to inspire you, to share with you our experiences. We also would like to know about your experiences on the music therapy world or any kind of activity on the creative and expressive arts that have changed and transformed your lives. And let's start the conversation. And to do that, we are welcoming Karen Watts, Professor of Music Therapy at the Berklee College of Music. Welcome, Karen.
Thank you so much. It's such an honor, and I'm so humbled to be here. It's so inspiring to be in this group of women. And I have been a music therapist for over 30 years, and I have seen the scope of service change. And music therapy has become something that really can touch just about everybody, the same way that music can touch everybody. I started out in a musical family. My father played the accordion and my mom played the piano, and all my brothers and relatives, we would sing around the table. So music became just integrated into our life as a part of living. And I assumed that everybody sang at the dinner table, but as I've gotten older, I realize that is not quite true. But I found music therapy sort of through the back door. I started out in social work and performance. I'm a French horn player. I'm also a keyboard player. I started out in the trumpet when I was in the 4th grade, and music just became something that connected me with other people. I found that it helped build community. Some people, when they were younger, played sports or sang in choirs or were in plays. For me, it was an orchestra and bands. And so from a very early age, I really integrated the power of music to bring people together and to make connections. And I'm here today to just talk to you about how music therapy can really touch so many people in so many different ways. And we call it the spectrum of life, from neonates, from even as babies are being born, all the way to hospice and end of life. So music travels the spectrum of life. And I think the benefit of music, we know the power of music. When people are sad, music can uplift. When people are happy, it can energize and relax. And I think right now, with the pandemic and what's going on in the world, we see the importance of music as a way to bring comfort and joy when there's so much stress and sorrow. And I just want to talk a little bit about how music therapy can be used in hospital settings, in schools, in nursing homes, in community centers. And I think that once you figure out the power of music and how individuals respond, we talk about music therapy really looking at individual preferences. So music people don't respond to music uniformly the same way. As music therapists, we generally start out with doing some kind of assessment, whether it's informal or formal, to really determine what kinds of music is going to kind of people are going to relate to, and also what are the specific needs and goals of the individuals that we're working with. And so a music therapist needs to have a wide kind of palette of music to be able to address specific needs. What I'd like to do is start off with some music with all of you. And it's a song that I've used both in the classroom at Berklee College, as well as when I've traveled to Africa with Musicians for World Harmony and Samate Mulando, primarily in East Africa. And we also did some work in Bogota in Colombia, working in hospital settings. So it's really about taking music and adapting it. And it's called I Want to Sing and Shout All Day Long. And if everybody just join me, and it goes like this: I want to sing. This is my sign language. This is American Sign Language. Sing, 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 shout, 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 sing, shout, all day long. This is the sun going up and the sun going down all day long. Friends, when my friends are by my side, I feel happy, happy deep inside. I want to sing, I want to shout all day long. And for those who know me, know that this song has traveled with me everywhere. And it goes like this: I want to sing, sing, sing. I want to shout, shout, shout. I want to sing, I want to shout all day long. When my friends are by my side, I feel happy deep inside. I want to sing, I want to shout all day long. And there's so many different ways that you can do that. You can mention your friends or who makes you happy. Let's try it one more time, a little bit faster. I want to sing, sing, sing. I want to shout, shout, shout. I want to sing, I want to shout all day long. When my friends are by my side, I feel happy deep inside. I want to sing, I want to shout all day long. All right, thank you, everybody. That's an easy song using sign language and gestures. And we know that music needs movement. When you're making music with people, moving is really important. Even if it's sign language, it's body parts, it can be your whole body, hands. But again, simple songs are what helps people connect. And you can already feel energy changing when you start singing, and the power of voice and music. So I just want to talk about the benefits of music therapy for many different people, depending on what their needs are. If there are cancer patients who are in pain, then music can be used for relaxation, pain relief, and you learn how to use music clinically to help people with their needs. With children who have different kinds of needs, whether it's language, emotional regulation, music can create structure. It can also inspire others to learn to speak. Same thing. I have a mother who's 101. She is playing the piano. She's going to be 102 this year. Music is what keeps her energized and connected. But we also know the power of music to work with elders, to really help people reconnect with memories and reminiscence. And it's when, as people age and their memories start to go, we know that it's the short-term memory that is leaving, but the long-term memory is intact. So when you sing a familiar song, it's like meeting an old friend. It's familiar, it's comfortable. So you find music that people connected with when they were in their, we say maybe 18 years to 25, 27 years is a good time when music really had good memories for people as they were we're aging. So that never leaves. That part of music connects people to themselves and to other people, finding music that really has those strong connections. And I just wanted to make sure I'm not leaving anything out. There's so many things that I want to say, and with little time. There are also challenges in being a music therapist. I think part of it is sometimes people don't fully understand what music therapy is. And as a result, we're misunderstood. People think we go in and we play music at people, but the focus is really about determining from an assessment standpoint, what is it that people need? Can be groups of people, it doesn't have to be individuals. And in community music therapy, I hope Kara will talk a bit about community music therapy, because that is something that is really about empowering groups and about performance, and how performance is something in music therapy that has become more and more used to bring people together, especially in times of sorrow. And whether there's natural disasters or disasters in general, music is something that can really connect people and bring together. I have been, as I said, a music therapist for over 30 years. It is so important to keep music in your own life for self-care. I just want to mention that for people who work with others. You need to find ways to take care of yourself, whether it's baking like Brooke, hopefully we'll talk about that as well, or playing music just with other people or for yourself. Self-care is essential if you're going to be working as a music therapist, to be able to take care of yourself first so you can take care of other people. I am sort of running out of time, and I'm sure there'll be questions that will come up, but I just wanted to say I am so grateful to have found music therapy as a career path. I feel it's a gift for those who love to work with people and love music. It's a wonderful way to spend one's life. It's very purpose-driven. And there's not one way to do music therapy. There's many, many different ways that one can provide music, again, based on the needs of the people that we're working with. Sometimes they're called consumers, sometimes they're called clients, and sometimes participants and just people. Those are the people that we work with. We have a great gift to be able to give back. And I really encourage anybody who's considering music therapy. There are many different ways to study it around the world, online, in person. Of course, Berklee College of Music, where I teach, is a wonderful place to study music therapy. And as we are in a virtual world right now, we're hoping to open back up in the fall, but there are many ways to study music therapy around the world. And I want to thank you again. And I hope to, Wani, I'm going to hand it back to you right now.
Karen, thank you very much. For all of those who just connected with our conversation, Women in Music Therapy, we are at the moment with Karen Watts, who is the music at the Berklee College of Music. And I have good news for those ones who are just joining, because Karen has 5 more minutes. The conversation with our colleague from Spain, Nuria Abella, is going to take place on the 10th of April. So today we are going to have 20 minutes participation from our guests. And after that, we're going to have 30 minutes to do closure and to have questions and answers, or just to deliver any extra information on the topic of women and music therapy. So I'm going to give back the voice to Karen.
Thank you. What a treat. I really want to emphasize the power of collaboration, that if you are practicing music therapy, to really look around you and take advantage of other clinicians, other people who are also either doing music or physical therapy, occupational therapy, speech therapy. There really is importance in collaboration and working with others. We are not experts in music. Musicians can also add so much to what we're doing. When I was invited to travel with Samate Mulando, Musicians for World Harmony, in 2013, he invited me to work with him with child soldiers up in northern Uganda. And what worked was the partnership that we had, the trust that if you're going to work with other people and go into new environments, it's very, very, very important to work with people from those communities, not to go in and try to change the world by yourself. Sometimes we have this savior complex. We're here to save the world. That doesn't work in a music therapy. Finding people who are currently in those communities that are doing music or doing counseling or doing dance or doing art, any kind of expressive arts, and partner with them as you're working in new environments. We talk about cultural humility. Walking into new environments, we know less than the people who are there. It's important to respect what's already happening. And with Samate, there was an immediate trust that occurred. I came in bringing my clinical work as a clinician, the principles and the methodology of therapy. And he came in with a connection to the community already as a performing musician. And that is, if you're looking at what are some of the elements that you need to have to be successful in new environments, is partnerships and really going in and finding out what's going on in the community before you just jump in and start doing any kind of music or dance or art. So I want to emphasize how important it is for collaboration when you're working in environments as a music therapist, and to really honor the music of that community. Samate was very connected to the music of Uganda, and I went in and did my music therapy methodology, and together we looked at trauma and how music can help with relaxation, but also how music can really help people express themselves emotionally, how it opens up new avenues of discussion. So I wanted to just mention the importance of that, and as well as looking at how to transform individuals and communities, how music can really have a powerful effect on communities. When the children that we were working with in Uganda that had been kidnapped by Kony and they were coming back into society, the whole point was assimilation. How do we help children and families assimilate back into the community? And whether it's a individual who's coming back from war or conflict, coming back into society is a major challenge for the individual as well as the community. Music is a way that connects and brings everybody together. And that's what we found really helped. It really worked to do that kind of thing. So Wani, I'm going to pass it back to you. I think that's my time. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Karen. And as you mentioned, connection. Connection is a key word in any kind of therapeutic or holistic approach, because we have to understand that we are not alone in this journey, because loneliness can also be very hard in this type of work. So it's not only because of the connection to create greatness, it's the connection to be comfortable with ourselves and to be comfortable with other people. Thank you, Karen, for that message. And now we are going to invite to the conversation Cara Smith, who is also from the United States, and she is the founder of Umoja Global Community Music Therapy. Welcome, Cara.
Oh my, is that better? Can you hear me now? Okay. Very classic Zoom move there. I was saying, Wanny, thank you so much for having me. And Karen, thank you so much for starting us off. It is so clear how music therapy in itself has such a vastness to it. And there are multiple approaches and multiple ways of practicing music therapy and of participating in it. So a little about me. I'm originally from New Jersey in the United States. I am a singer and a songwriter. I went to Berklee College of Music and I studied both music therapy and vocal performance. And everything I know from Karen Wax. I feel very privileged to be connected with these amazing people here today and the colleagues that I'll share with you today in my journey as a music therapist. My interests in music therapy are stemmed from interest in intercultural work and international work, and as well as ethnomusicology. I was always quite interested in not only the world music genres, but the importance of musical traditions among communities and among tribes, and how important it is to preserve and honor these timeless musical traditions and how it's all tied to health and wellness. That's been a huge part of my journey as a music therapist. So eventually my journey brought me to the continent of Africa. And in 2014, I founded a nonprofit called Umoja Global Community Music Therapy. And it started out as, and still is, mainly an investigative organization that interacts with and collaborates with pre-existing community music therapy practices. We venture into communities and programs in mainly East Africa, where the practitioners are community musicians, community leaders, teachers, and like-minded people. And they work intuitively, and they utilize the music traditions that are culturally intrinsic and relevant and part of the history and the people's stories. We personally believe that these intuitive pre-existing practices inform our own practices as certified music therapists. And I believe that it's very important for these practices to all be recognized as music therapy. They should all be recognized as one field, one purposeful way of being and engaging in music. Community music therapy, I would say, is my approach of choice. And the definition of community music therapy, Karen, you already did a wonderful job with sort of framing it. It's sometimes a bit hard to explain, but if I could put it in a nutshell, I would say it's taking music therapy sessions outside of closed doors and into the community setting. It's interacting with groups, whole communities in the middle of the town square, in performance venues, in schools and community centers. And it's reminding people and participants that their community is a psychosocial resource. It is a resource for health and wellness. And by strengthening communities, you strengthen health and you make health more accessible. It's also just a ton of fun because the music is usually traditional music or folk music that is most relevant and recognized by the community. It's mostly group sessions. And at times you are singing, dancing. You may not necessarily have access to certain instruments, but you utilize what is there. You utilize the space, you utilize the energy that you have available to you. And that's what a community music therapy setting is like. I'd love to share a song with you that I wrote from my time in South Africa. To give some background info, I'm currently studying a master's degree at University of Pretoria in South Africa. What drew me to this program was it is the only accredited music therapy program on the African continent. And so naturally, it has an emphasis on community music therapy approaches, anti-oppressive practices, and music therapy approaches that address systemic issues, social justice goals, and the like. And so, of course, that's what drew me to this program. During my time in South Africa, I was working in a community center for adults with intellectual disabilities. And I wrote this folk song. It's a Christian song, naturally, just because my clients at the time were mainly Christian, and I wanted to bring something forward to them that resonated with them in their belief systems. Of course, this song, it mentions God, and it can be adapted to mention any God, any higher being that you believe in. It can be adapted for any belief system. It doesn't necessarily have to be a Christian God. But here's how it goes. I'll play it for you once, and I encourage you to sing along. We are all God's children in this space. We are all God's children in this space. I will come to the table. I will bring what I'm able. We are all God's children in this space. One more time. We are all God's children in this space. We are all God's children in this space. I will come to the table. I will bring what I'm able. We are all God's children in this space. And during the session, I would ask, what would you like to bring to the table today? Bringing something to the table doesn't necessarily have to mean it's something positive. Sometimes it's challenges, sometimes it's pain and things you're experiencing in your life. Sometimes it is positive things. It's bringing what you are able. So it is strengths-based. So a lot of the time I get, let's say, love and kindness. So then you change the words to, we will bring love and kindness to this space. We will bring love and kindness to this space. We will come to the table. We will bring what we're able. We will bring love and kindness to this space. That's just an example of some of the music I use in my sessions. And my work as a music therapist and my work with Umoja is tied deeply to the practice of cultural humility. And Karen, you also did a wonderful job at defining this as well. Cultural humility, I would say, is not only such an important way of practicing in music therapy or in any field, but it can also be a guide for how we occupy spaces in our everyday, even in our own homes, with our own families. If I could put it into words, cultural humility is when you walk into a space that you probably don't belong in. Perhaps you are working with a community in which you are not a member. And it's about entering into this space with objective openness, and your interactions with community members are completely authentic and gentle. And you are approaching each interactive from curiosity, a curiosity to listen and to learn and to engage in the doings of the community members that you are with. And it doesn't come from a place of wanting to teach or to correct or to look at the space through the prism of your own experience or the prism of your own knowledge. And music, the music therapy field, at times it has tiers. It has tiers of education and tiers of training. And at times, as practitioners, it can narrow our view of what is music therapy and what is not, and what is clinical and what is not. And I find that working from a culturally humble space allows our work and our approach to be open and flexible and multifaceted. And then that allows us to connect with more people. It makes music therapy more accessible, more palatable, and reachable to people. And as I've said before, at times these pre-existing music therapy practices and these pre-existing timeless beliefs about music and its healing properties, that's been around before music therapy became a field. And I believe that these beliefs, these systems, and these pre-existing practices inform our practice as music therapists. So that's it for me, I believe. How much time do I have left, Wanny? 5 minutes? Oh, okay, 7 minutes. Okay. I suppose I'll talk a little bit about my research study, actually. So as part of my master's degree, I am conducting a research study. And originally, it was going to be an in-person qualitative study about music therapy's effects for survivors of gender-based violence. Unfortunately, due to the pandemic, I had to reassess and redesign my research study, which will soon become a thesis. So what I did instead was I conducted a survey study of music therapy practices across the African continent. And it was my goal to capture the whole scope, not just music therapy under accredited guidelines, but music therapy where accredited guidelines are not present. So self-identified music therapists, traditional healers, community musicians who are doing amazing work with the goal of making health and wellness accessible to their community members. I sent out this big survey to try and capture as many practitioners on the African continent as I could. Of course, the limitations are Africa is a very large continent, and I cannot possibly reach every therapeutic music practitioner out there. But I am really excited that I was able to gather a sample from every geographical location on the continent. I have some from North Africa, South Africa, East, West, and Central. And so my thesis will be about how do these practitioners identify their identity, themselves, their professional identity? How do they describe music therapy? How do they describe their work and the importance of their work and how their work impacts their communities? So I'm in the process of writing that now, and I look forward to sharing it with the world once it's finished. And that's it for me. I'd like to continue to emphasize we can all make a huge impact with our day-to-day interactions by working from a culturally humble space, by living in a culturally humble way. And as Karen also said, keeping music in your life, keeping music as a part of your life is so important for health and wellness, especially today, as we've found ourselves more isolated from our communities than normal. We have virtual social lives, and I hope the world is improving slowly, but until it's fully back to normal, we must pay close attention to what we need, and the health and wellness that we need and that we may have been impacted by from the pandemic. So keep music in your lives, keep community in your life, and keep cultural humility in your life. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Cara. And as Cara mentioned, cultural humility comes from the conversation opened by Karen, and then it's been taken over by Cara, adding some elements, they are also connected with her personal life, her career, and how she has evolved, through this journey. So I see Cara talking now about her master's and her experience. And I still remember Cara from 6 years ago going to Kenya for the first time, and it's amazing, to see how everything start taking place. Everything is like a puzzle, that the youth are putting together, and if you start to acknowledge the years when you started on your practicals, and now is a completely different perspective. And it has to be that way, that's the way we definitely start understanding ourselves, and we mature, the work mature as well. And it's a great pleasure, Cara, to share with you this path, and to see you happy with it. And as Karen mentioned at the beginning, if we are not clear about ourselves and our capacities and our self-love and our self-understanding, it's very difficult to really understand where love is coming from others. And especially in education, because when we are younger, any kind of advice or recommendation, we see it like a threat. But there is a moment when you move to the other side, when you are the professor and when you're the mentor, and you start to understand what's going on. Yeah. And it's important that the new generation keeps that spirit of controversy and rebellion and fight, because that's the spirit. But it's also important that us, in our journey to become a more mature and more connected persons with our own, start to respect. And like you say, respect, connections, cultural humility is a key on this journey. And to continue with these topics, and we're going to invite our last guest, who is Brooke Weiler, also from the United States. And she is the founder of Ubuntu Music Therapy Connections. And we continue talking about connections. So welcome, Brooke.
Hi. So thank you, Winnie, for having me today. And I'm very excited to be here and chat with you all about kind of my experiences as a music therapist and what has kind of brought me to this point. So my name is Brooke Wilder. I am a music therapist. I live in the Boston area of Massachusetts, and I've been a music therapist for about 6 years now. Here in the States, my work is based primarily in trauma work, and I also do a lot in elder care, memory care, end of life, things like that. So I got started at Berklee College of Music under Karen, and I had no idea what music therapy was until I went to Berklee. I'd never heard of it. I actually went originally for music education until I had learned about music therapy, and then I was like drawn to it immediately. I am a people person. I enjoy, connecting with people. And for me, it was kind of the perfect solution of being able to use music in a multitude of different ways in my life. And so that really drew me to music therapy. After I graduated, I went to Kenya for the first time with Kara, and then ended up founding the Ubuntu Music Therapy Initiative, which similarly focuses on community-based music therapy. We work primarily in Kenya and working with pre-existing programs that are already existing. So 2 large groups that we work with is Music Therapy International, which is a group that works mainly in the national hospitals, but also recently they've branched out into some schools that focus on autism. And we work a lot with Nairobi Women's Hospital as well. And so one of my main connections in Kenya is a super talented music therapist named Mutinda Mukenya. And he has helped to develop these training toolkits that we have worked with, along with the Permanent Presidential Music Commission, which is the government agency for the preservation of cultural music. So through working with PPMC and with Mutinda, we developed 3 different training toolkits in the main areas of music therapy that we saw a pre-existing program or a need. So we had one focused on hospital settings, one focused on special education, and one focused on trauma. All of the toolkits also included a section for caregivers in the self-care for caregivers, because that was something that we noticed kind of lacking, and us as therapists, we give and give and give, but you can't drink from an empty cup. So we want to make sure that people are taking the time to really fill up their own cups afterward. And through the development of these toolkits, we had last time I was there, we had a 3-day training session with myself, a neurologic music therapist from Canada named Nicole Richard, and 2 of my other colleagues, Akilah Watts and Allison Lockhart. And we were able to, they all have their own backgrounds in these specific specialties. So in special ed, in mental health, and in trauma. And so we were able to give a training to over 92 people came for a 3-day session, and were able to just get a deeper understanding. So as Kara and Karen both have mentioned beforehand, when we are working in a place that we're not from, we all have to keep in mind what is already pre-existing and build upon it as a community. That is something that at Ubuntu we feel very strongly about, which is why we are working with the people who are there every day experiencing it to develop these toolkits and these trainings. There, as Kara said, everything is, every facet of music therapy is valid. There is not one that is a higher tier or a more correct way of doing things. Even here in the States, I kind of take that approach with my clients, because it's not a one size fits all thing, just like any other, like talk therapy or anything else. There is not one specific style that works for everyone. So when you can take from a larger pool, you're going to get better results, and you're going to be able to reach a larger population. And so, yeah, that's kind of what a summary of what my work in East Africa briefly, but I'll touch upon kind of what I've been doing here. So I am a music therapist at the Chelsea Soldiers Home in Chelsea, Massachusetts. It is a government home for veterans of foreign wars, and I work primarily with my clients, I would say, are 50 plus years old, so a lot of older vets, and we work in 2 sides. So we have the residential side, which is more trauma-based work, where we will do a lot of songwriting. We have a band called the GI Jam Band, which is a really great outlet for a lot of my clients to be able to, use music in different ways. And then there's also a hospital and long-term care facility. So through those different sides of it, I really get to see such a wide range of clients, which is great for me. One of the things I've noticed about my own practice in music therapy is I love every population that I work with. They all have so many different benefits, and I love being an independent contractor and getting to work in different places and utilize different skill sets to reach a larger core group of people. Through the trauma work that I do at the Soldiers Home, I was inspired to continue my education, and I, not last year, but the year before last, graduated from the Kin Institute at NYU, which is a really amazing program for not just music therapists, but creative arts therapists in general. I loved the program, and I really have taken into my own practice kind of the mindset of being more intermodal in my practice. It's so, especially when you're doing trauma work, trauma is based in the body. You need to be able to connect to that. And so using movement and music, or using, art and music, or all these different things together, poetry, all these different modalities, I feel like is able to reach a larger group of people. And that is really been my, it goes in line with my idea of having music therapy be more than just XYZ in this order. And so, yeah, I've loved using the different modalities to be able to understand in a deeper way and be able to reach my clients in more creative ways. So that has been kind of what I've been up to lately. I'm going to take a minute to share a song with you guys. So this is a song that was written by my friend and colleague, Nicole Richard. She is a neurologic music therapist in Canada, and it's a relaxation song. So if you feel in a good space, make sure that you, I have to move back up, but make sure that you are comfortable. You have both your feet on the floor. You're in a comfortable position in your chair, and we are going to sing it. And if you feel inclined to close your eyes, if that feels comfortable for you, you totally can, but you don't have to. Hopefully you can all hear me. So. So what we're going to do is I'm going to walk you through this. We're going to be moving through our bodies, starting with our feet, and we're going to be squeezing, 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 and then relaxing and releasing. First, you take your toes and squeeze and relax. Squeeze and relax. Squeeze and relax. Take your toes and squeeze and relax. Breathe in and out. Breathe in and out. Okay, now our legs. Take your legs and squeeze and relax. Squeeze and relax. Squeeze and relax. Take your toes and squeeze and relax. Breathe in and out. Breathe in and out. Okay, So now take your core or your center, and we're gonna squeeze and tense our center. You take your tummy and squeeze and relax. Squeeze and relax. Squeeze and relax. Take your tummy and squeeze and relax. Breathe in and out. Breathe in and out. Okay, so now our arms. Take your arms and squeeze and relax. Squeeze and relax. Squeeze and relax. Take your arms and squeeze and relax. Breathe in and out. Breathe in and out. Okay, we're gonna do our whole body this time. Take your whole body and squeeze and relax. Squeeze and relax. Squeeze and relax. Take your whole body and squeeze and relax. Breathe in and out. Breathe in and out. So yeah, it's a nice way to kind of reconnect with your body, which is something that I will do a lot with my clients, because when you are working in trauma, one of the main kind of things you can come into contact with is this feeling of dysregulation, and the inability to connect with your body, kind of feeling out of sorts when you're dissociating and things like that. So I like to use that as a grounding activity to really kind of bring you back into your space, into your body. Yeah, and it's just a nice song to kind of do that. I am pretty much 7 minutes. I guess I'll talk about, we've touched upon briefly self-care and different things that we, do as therapists, and Karen talked about taking, doing music if in some capacity for yourself, or having other hobbies, outside, because we all need to make sure that we take care of ourselves so we can take care of others. And that goes in all different kinds, whether that's exercising, or for me personally, I like to bake. So I have been doing some baking, and particularly macarons are my favorite thing to make currently. So that's been a nice stress relief, and a different way to be able to have a creative outlet. I'm not much of a painter. I'm not a great artist in that sense, but give me some sugar, I can make some pretty things. So I've been exploring kind of that different side of my creativity as well. And doing music at home for my own personal benefit and things like that has been always something I've made a point to continue to do. And one of the reasons I liked music therapy to begin with, because I get to use music for work in this way, but I still can perform, and I can do music for myself in all these different ways. And it's just been something that I've really enjoyed, and especially in these challenging times, it's a good time to start a new hobby and check things out, and check out all the different ways that you can be creative with yourself, in multiple modalities and things like that. So I still have 5 minutes. So Yeah, I don't really know what else to say, Whitney. But if it's okay for me to throw it back to you, I would like to do
Yeah,
that.
it's Brooke, is great. You know that you have the opportunity to take us through a variety of activities and a variety of relations, you know, with yourself and everything that is around you. And like you say, it's difficult sometimes to remember and to recollect, you know, how much and how many people has been impacted by the work we do.
Right.
And I think it's something that will be important for you to highlight. And I think also for Tara, you have not only created this project for yourself, you also have created an exchange of knowledge opportunities. You know, so you have brought several music therapists from the United States and from Africa to Kenya. This is what I have actually witnessed myself. And they also have changed their perspectives of life. And sometimes what it looks very difficult for them has built themselves into a better persons and better professionals. And can you elaborate a little bit about that?
Sure.
Yeah.
So some of the different connections that we've been able to make through the work that I've done with Ubuntu and with Wenny and Kara and with Karen and everyone like that, it's been a really wonderful opportunity for me to, you know, see the different organizations and see them grow in the different capacities that they've been able to do. So a new connection that we've made recently is with a really amazing nonprofit called Flying Kites Global. They are in the Aberdeens in Kenya in a remote area, and they are a school that focuses on the whole child model, not just, you know, providing an education, but they provide psychosocial services, they provide meals, they provide uniforms, everything so that the child can just focus on the education. And I was connected with them actually through a man that I met very randomly in an Uber, who runs a nonprofit here called Safari Boston Golf Club. He's from Kenya, and him and a bunch of his buddies get together and do they have a golf tournament, and they raise money for different nonprofits that work in Kenya. And so he met me, we talked, I got connected through to Flying Kites through him. And so it's been this kind of amazing opportunity. And through working with Flying Kites, through working with Shofco, from working with all these different nonprofits and things like that, it's really such an amazing thing to witness, because I think Wenny, we were at Faraja and did a presentation at Faraja, and then people, oh, can you come and do a presentation at my place later this week? And it's this work is so human based, it's so humanistic, and it's all about the connections that you make in the moment and the opportunities that present themselves. And so, you know, I do feel that we've been able to make good long-standing connections with a lot of different people and organizations. Like I mentioned earlier with Music Therapy International, we still work with them. We've been working with them for like 4 years. Through Nairobi Women's, you know, all these different organizations that we've been able to connect with, continue to support and train and sponsor and have people go to continue their own education and their own exploration in music therapy through attending different conferences and things like that. So something else that I've been a part of here in Boston is this really amazing thing through Boston University called the ADIA, which is the African Diaspora Education Alliance, I believe. But it's the ADIA community of practitioners, and it connects African diaspora who are living in Boston and running nonprofits back in their home countries. And it's just a place of connection. We have quarterly breakfast meetings like you said, Wanny, it's so important to connect with other people who do this work because it can be very isolating at times. And so it's a really cool community of people that I get to be with in the States that, you know, have ideas for nonprofit development, for fundraising, for all these different things, and projects, how our projects can align and things like that. So I do encourage anyone who is interested in doing this kind of work, you know, to seek out people who are in a similar line of work or have kind of a similar vision, and always see how you can collaborate and work together, because a lot of these opportunities just come up organically through that. Yeah.
Wow. Exactly 11 o'clock. Brooke, thank you very much. Thank you so much for your contributions. The same to Kara and the same to Karen. I'm going to put our Galleria so we can all be together in the screen. Here we are. And I'm going to take over what you say, Brooks, and it's about networking. You know, this is so important that what started as an educational opportunity, as a career, as a therapeutic profession, it has become social enterprises for most of you. Yeah, so you also have become cultural entrepreneurs. And this is so important also to highlight, because you started without any kind of knowledge in administration and fundraising, and you have built up your way into making your projects move on. And I have to also mention, I'm working since 2020 as a life coach for the Global Leaders Program, who is actually a university certificate for professional musicians, music therapists, any person who is into the creative expressive arts. It's a private opportunity, but a lot of these musicians are now learning how to become business-oriented with their artistry. You know, and not only business-oriented with their artistry, but how to be community leaders, and we call them change makers, you know, because we are not only profiting from our jobs, what is so important to actually fit our programs. Because if we don't have a remunerated job, we cannot actually get our nonprofits going. And I think it's something all of us has done. You know, we have an alternative job in different fields, and half of the money we have, and I know for my personal experience and also for you, my experience with you, half of your money goes to the projects, right? And I think it's important to also make clear this message. This message has to be clear and loud for all artists out there. We are not in the position we are because of magic. It's because we are working very hard to earn our money and use that money to give back to the community, you know? And I think it's so interesting that the more you give, the more you get. You know, in these moments when sometimes you say, oh my God, I'm not going to have enough money to bring all my volunteers to Kenya. You know, how we're gonna do to bring all the instruments and the materials. This is just thinking about your fundraising activities, and we're talking about it. I don't know if we're gonna reach the goal, you know, of the money we require for this activity. And it happened, isn't it? You know, it was always this excitement of getting things going and connecting people and finding other donors and sponsors and so on, and making a reality the dream to transform people's life through arts. And I think we need to continue with this campaign of letting people understand that it's possible. We can do it. They can do it. You know, but it requires, and I'm not going to stop saying this, is 5% talent and 95% work. Right? Because we have to work very hard for all these activities and projects and initiatives and whatever we do to happen. It's not that we're sitting in our living room just waiting for things to come from the sky. And I think this is the opportunity to come back to Karen and see if it's possible to invite her co-partner and guest. Did we manage to contact him? Let me see, Karen, if you can put your mic on and let us know.
Yeah, I sent a note to him. If you give me a minute, I'll see if I can actually call him. I sent him a text, but let me see if I can find him. I'll be right back. But Wani, you're on mute there.
Karen, did you share with him our Zoom link?
I will do that, but let me find if he's available and then I'll share.
Perfect.
Okay.
On the
Let me just-
meantime, while Karen, if you want, you can also close your camera while you are trying to connect with him. On the meantime, I think I'm going to take this opportunity to go back to Cara and see if she can share with us that specific feeling of not being able to pursue what you are looking for, and how you have managed the situation to be available for you.
I could, oh my gosh, Wani, I can talk about the struggles you're going to need a whole other episode just for me to talk about how difficult it is. Yes, it's been a very difficult journey balancing, financial stability and investing in Umoja, and also investing in myself and the things I know will enhance Umoja in some way, particularly education. I did have to pay my way through this master's degree. I couldn't get a loan for it. And I just remember definitely having to make sacrifices. Umoja definitely had to put on hold not only some programs, but some, the hours that goes into networking and the hours that go into maintaining a social media presence in itself just takes a lot of time, a lot of designing graphics, and following up and engaging with other people. All of that really had to take a back seat for a year and a half while I focused on my studies. And there were many, many moments throughout this journey where I wondered, will the organization die because I'm not giving it enough love and enough attention, and I'm not fundraising every day, initiating campaigns every day? Am I a bad founder? Am I a bad am I a bad president? There's all of this, a lot of self-doubt that comes about. But I have this same kind of pattern of thinking with almost everything else in my life. My life as a musician, as a songwriter, and as a singer. Brooke, I don't know if you've experienced this. You're a performer as well. You are an artist as well. I think we all go through periods where we put something on the shelf to focus on something else because we can't do everything. We only have two hands. We only have one brain. And I think it's okay for people to take breaks and to focus their attention on one thing, on one aspect of their career, put something else on hold, and then somewhere down the line put that other thing on hold and focus your attention back. I think this is also the case for multifaceted people. And what I've found is music therapists are some of the most multifaceted, multi-talented people I've ever come across, because they are first and foremost musicians. So they have their musical life, and they're also academicians, and they are deeply involved in their education, which is an ongoing thing. You have to stay relevant. You have to keep learning. The learning never stops. There's always trainings. There's always articles to read. There's always time to invest in your education as a music therapist. And then music therapists, they are also artists, and they might have secondary hobbies, secondary parts of their life related to music that are very important to maintain balance. So my identity with Umoja, as well as, I am not just a music therapist or a musician. I have this identity as a social entrepreneur and a nonprofit runner. That's another facet of my career. And I do find myself having to put that on hold to focus on my education, to focus on my music. And I do think that's okay. We can't do everything all at once. I would love to hear, Brooke, your experience with this as well, and anyone else who might have some insight as well.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I definitely have felt the same way. When you're running a nonprofit or you're doing something, you're trying to build something from the ground up, there are a lot of challenges that come along with it. You need to find people to help you with it. You need to find a team, and you need them to volunteer their time most of the time because you don't have money to pay them. And so it's a lot, it's a big ask. And if you can't find that, then it falls on one person, and one person, like you said, has two hands, so many hours in a day, a regular job, a family, also things they need to take care of, so there's a lot that comes along with that. I have definitely also had Ubuntu on hold. I had some family stuff happen in 2018 that I had to deal with. And then last year I had planned to go to the World Congress in South Africa. And I had sponsored 2 music therapists to come with us. And then it got rescheduled or postponed indefinitely and was put virtually. And so I'm hoping, that as things kind of normalize, that we can shift our attention back. But, unfortunately, like Kara said, like life gets in the way sometimes, and we have to just adapt to it in that moment and focus on other things and come back to it when the time is right. And I definitely have feelings all the time of like, oh my gosh, if I haven't gone in 2 years, like it's dead. Like no one will know who I am. I have to restart from the ground up. Like I do feel that way a lot of the time. And I think that I think that like imposter syndrome that we kind of all deal with is valid, but it also kind of, for me, shows that like, if we didn't care, then it wouldn't be as much of a thing, like we care about these like they're our babies because we've seen it grow from a little seed into a plant, and so you want to nurture the plant, but the plant is pretty self-sufficient. If you just give it a little bit of light, like it'll be fine. And so I think that, we can be our own biggest critics in this. And like you said, Wanny, to recognize the connections that have already been made and the work that's been done, it doesn't mean that it's not valid or it's not for nothing. Like if for whatever reason, we needed to step away and focus on other things or other aspects of our life and things came up and things changed, like I do think that it doesn't diminish the work that's already been done. And that's something that I have to continually kind of remind myself as well, because it can be hard to, if you're not chugging along at the rate of progression that you do every day, so I definitely echo those sentiments. I feel the same way. Doing a lot of pivoting in my own life to kind of navigate where things should fall, but yeah, I think that's a very normal feeling.
Thank you so much. And I also want to inform you that Samite is not at the moment available, but definitely this conversation will continue. Moving cultures in Women of the World Talk and Act is this, we exist because each one of you. And it's important to continue with delivery of information, delivery of expectations, delivery of knowledge. And all our projects are because of our ideas, their ideas. And they become a reality when they get connected with other human beings. Otherwise they will not exist. And as you mentioned, to be relevant is to live a life a day. Because what Umoja was a month back is not the same of Umoja today or Ubuntu today. So you're gonna make it exist, you're gonna make it die, because those are our ideas, you know? And this is why it's so important to continue with the replicas, you know, to continue targeting people who has the same vision and aspirations, so they can also create their own vision. It's like everything started from Karen. I created música, boleros, sanando, cantando boleros for the elderly people, you know. Thanks to Karen, I say, oh, okay, I'm singing boleros. I think this should help somebody, you know. After she said something in the music therapy workshop, it was like a switch on myself. And I say, oh, okay, so I can definitely move my entrepreneurship, my intercultural approach of arts, and into something therapeutic. It was something I was not doing. And then thanks to that opportunity Karen gave me, I started moving, visiting elderly homes with my boleros, singing with the elderly people. And after that, some other volunteers of the different projects I have been creating globally, they have been doing the same. So it's about not sticking, I'm going to stick to my projects, but you need to allow all the people you are connecting to create their own vision. And this happened to you. You went with one project together, then it became two projects. You know, and I was always waiting to see where is the third project coming, or the fourth project, from all the people who has also been on the same path and the same journey with you. And I guess we have another 30 minutes to do the closures. And I think I'm gonna ask Karen to do that, you know, because she has seen so many people be impacted by her lectures, you know, and for her message. And she said she is like a eslabón, you know, she's always connecting. It's like a bridge who has allowed us and a lot of people to work for the benefit of themselves and the benefit of the community. So Karen, please enlighten us and share with us and give us a message to close this session, and definitely leave it open for a future conversation.
Thank you so much, Wani. I'm so humbled, really, to be here today and to listen to you all. But I think the foundation of entrepreneurship is the ability to deal with rejection, to be able to know that rejection is going to happen and to be comfortable with it. You're never going to get everything you want. And the idea of manifesting is so important, both from a spiritual and way of really, you have to imagine yourself these dreams coming true. It has to come from a place of belief. And I talk about music therapy is a calling. It really isn't for everybody to do. We are called to do this work, and it's a very spiritual, I believe, very spiritual work. Whether you're working with hospice with people at end of life, or children with different kinds of emotional needs, it really takes an ability and a resilience to work in environments that are challenging. A lot of what we work with are marginalized populations. We work with people who, as society, because of disabilities, because of gender, because of race, have been marginalized. And so it takes a lot of resiliency on the part of the therapist to be able to rise above the rejection and societal expectations. Because if you're focused on what you believe on and you really are true to yourself, you'll find a way to make it happen. But I guess I talk about that idea of rejection and embracing the rejection, because it's through that rejection and mistakes that we learn, if we're okay with that. So allowing yourself to make mistakes, to be rejected, and to build upon that if your ego is strong enough to deal with the rejection. So that's something that I would say is really important in music therapy, to have a focus on what you believe, a dream, and then surround yourself by people who are smarter than you. I mean, I think that's what a lot of our politicians do sometimes that are successful, if they allow their ego to let go of who they are, to really find people in your life that can advise you, that have skills that you don't have, and that you allow them to come in, and especially in the area of entrepreneurship. Entrepreneurship is really about taking risks and being able to step into the unknown. Music therapists do that every day. Music therapy is an art, but it's also a science, depending on what techniques or methodology you're using. In neurologic music therapy, it tends to be more scientific. In all other kinds of music therapy, art therapy, expressive therapies, it's psychosocial. It's more of an art, intuitive, being able to listen to the people around you, to tap into their needs, and then being able to take some risks. And sometimes you're right and sometimes you're wrong. But you can't move forward until you allow yourself to take risks. So being an entrepreneur, being a therapist, is sometimes taking risks that may or may not work. So I want to just mention the whole idea of risk taking, stepping into the unknown, and also just being able to be comfortable when things don't go right, or sometimes opportunities come in because of you're making mistakes and you're learning from those mistakes. So I want to just kind of mention that as a way to bring people together, and also the connections of how important networking, to summarize what people are saying, the importance of networking, surrounding yourself with people who can offer you something, but you also offer them. It's in relationships, it's reciprocal. Good relationships are built on trust, and trusting somebody to help you, and them trusting you to help them. So a good business, a good entrepreneurship is really based on being with like-minded people who have a similar vision, and allowing yourself to step outside of your comfort zone, which is really sometimes very hard to do. We don't like to step outside of our comfort zone. We like to be comfortable, but sometimes we have to advocate with people who don't understand what we do, and they may never understand our work, but that's okay. I think it's, again, being focused on your purpose and what you're driven to do, and know that you can get there with the right connections. So, Wani, I'm not sure what else I can do to conclude this, or if other people want to add to that, but
I think you done wonderfully, Karen. Because you put together elements that we need to continue keeping in our heart, in our mind, and in our practice. And the next challenge, because as we know, we choose to challenge, and I'm going to ask you also to raise your hand. We choose to challenge division, exclusion, and lack of opportunities. And we are going to bring unity and diversity. We are going to give the opportunity to others and opportunities to ourselves. And with this, I thank you, and I hope and I'm sure that in the next semester, I will bring to the table Sangoma. I know Kara knows what a Sangoma is. And Sangoma, and also Karen and Brooke, Sangoma is the singing healers of South Africa. And I think we are 4 Sangomas in the house. And I'm going to bring some Sangomas from South Africa, from Zimbabwe, from other countries with you together to continue this conversation. So we're not going to be 4, we're going to be probably 12. And we're going to have also some express therapies with us. And we're going to make this conversation a little bit more rich. It is rich already, but let's give the counterpart and let's work with the academics, like you say, the science, and let's put the heart and the intuition of tradition and culture into the discussion, because there is a lot that we are going to exchange. And I'm so happy that I have a Moving Cultures database and partnership, very accomplished Sangomas, who are going to be very happy, to meet you. And they already know you because they're also following, to discuss and to bring love to the community and to bring love to us. Yeah. Because that's the first part. We need to start with love, self-love, to be able to give love to others. So once again, thank you. And I think we can finish this session with the song Karen was teaching us, and ask all the followers around to join us. And just to recapitulate, tonight, this morning, this afternoon, depending where in the world you are, we had 3 panelists. We have Karen Watts, professor of music therapy at the Berklee College of Music. We have Kara, who is the founder of Umoja Music Therapy. And we have Brooke, who is the founder of Ubuntu Music Therapy Connections. And the 4 of us were here today embracing the power of healing through music, songs, and love. So we're gonna get back to Karen. I'm gonna mute my microphone so we can sing with her.
Thank you again. This is a song about love, friends, connection. And if you will join me, this is just some sign language that we use, and it's talking about our friends and by our side. And it goes like this. I want to sing, sing, sing. I want to shout, shout, shout. I want to sing. I want to shout all day long. When my friends are by my side, I feel happy deep inside. I want to sing. I want to shout all day long. One more time. I want to sing, sing, sing. I want to shout, shout, shout. I want to sing. I want to shout all day long. When my friends are by my side, I feel happy deep inside. I want to sing. I want to shout all day long. Thank you. Love you all. Love you all.
Thank you. And with this beautiful song, with singing and with shouting and with love, we close Women in Music Therapy 2021, Women of the World Talk and Act series and Moving Cultures Promoting Unity in Diversity. So see you on the 27th. We're going to have Women in Pole Dance. And very soon, we're going to give you the topics for April. And we're going to have Nuria Abella giving us a lecture on music therapy in Spanish and also in Valenciano, for all those who are in the non-English part of the world. So thank you so much, Karen, Kara, Brooke, and please keep shining. Bye-bye.